it feels like home even when you walk in. I mean, it wasn't my home, but I felt at home. And that's such an important part of selling a home is when you walk into a home, that feeling you get. Thank y'all for joining the Twincast. It's the podcast where business and faith are our foundation and a good laugh is always on the house. We're identical twin sisters navigating the real estate world one deal at a time. The Twincast starts now. I'm Cherie, your go-to lender helping you with all things finance. And I'm Nicole, your favorite realtor helping you find the perfect place to call home. So today we are excited, super excited to have Mrs. Donna Browning on our Twincast today. It's a big deal. Ms. Donna Browning she just recently moved to the community, to Texas. I will say Texas, but we're going to let her talk a little bit more about that and her journey here. She's coming all the way from Australia. Now she's traveled other places, but she is now in Texas and she has a home to sell, but she's also purchased a home recently. So that is how we ended up with Mrs. Donna, and we have enjoyed every minute of the experience. So, Donna, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Texas.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when the whole COVID thing happened, that's when my husband and I, because my husband's actually from Texas, he was born and raised here. And so it was kind of a time where, everybody was in a bit of a turmoil of things. And so we decided it was time to leave Vegas and come back. Obviously my family's not here. They're, Australia, but his whole family was here. And our youngest son and his wife were here. And it was the right time. And so that's what brought us here. And we didn't know where we were coming to. That was the funny part of our story. It was a total God thing. We just packed our stuff up into a pod. We had two pods, and we just trekked out across the country. And we were heading to Waco. We thought that was the center. It was reason being a central location to Kevin's family, to our son. We already had friends here. And so we were like, okay, if we get in the middle of things, because this is such a big state, then we'll be able to be close to other people. So anyway, but Waco just was not our cup of tea. And, I won't go into the details of that. But anyway, our realtor at the time, mentioned Temple. And the interesting, fun fact of that story is that that's where our pods were. We were thinking we were going to be in Waco the entire time, but He had our pods in Temple. So we were kind of went, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
But yeah, and of course there wasn't a lot to look. There was practically no inventory. We're talking 21.
right. Mm-hmm.
And so, everybody was bidding on these houses and the prices were ridiculous, and the inventory, there was hardly any inventory at that time. So we were very glad that we were able to find the home that we did. It wasn't the kind of home that we had come out of,
You're coming from a
which,
much larger home, right?
well, the thing is, it's more the style. It
Mm-hmm.
was the style of the home. We were more on the contemporary side of things, particularly Kevin. Kevin loved modern. But I'm a little bit more of the traditional part, so he likes the hard edge, very modern, very contemporary, and I come in and soften it up with fabric. but, um,
At your
but
tech.
anyway, yeah. But anyway, so we came out of a very, very contemporary home, and it landed back into something very, very traditional. The home that we're about to put on the market was built in 77, I think. So very different style, but at the same time, it worked out really, really well. And I think, we thank the Lord for that as well, because, Kevin ended up working from home. He works remotely and still does now. But there's only so many things you can do with an older home, and to make it be the kind of home that I have now. And so that's the exciting, thing of when God moves, He moves quickly. And oh yeah, hang on to your seat because it's a roller coaster ride. And we've got many stories, to share with that. But yeah, so um, landed here, ended up, Temple with the big trees and the lovely green and on all the rest of it. Fell in love with the community. I think my husband and I were both ready for something that was a little bit more realistic, because Vegas is very fun. It can be exciting. It's got great entertainment. There's a lot of good stuff
Mhm.
um, about Vegas, but it's also, it's like, oh gosh, I was so tired of the desert. I grew up on the beach in Australia. I'm a beach girl. So, love the water, love the green, lush. It's like a jungle, where I grew up, beautiful. And so, yeah, I spent 40 years in the desert, basically, and
Yeah.
it was really nice to kind of put that in the rearview mirror and land. And where we landed, I mean, my gosh, it's beautiful here. So just loved all that. And so, but like it's like our home buying, us landing in this home now that, this is how we all met. We had been looking, we were like, oh, should we look for something else? Should we look at land? I mean, we were having this conversation with each other for a couple of years, probably. We've been here 4 years.
Right.
And so, about a couple of years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, we would talk, we'll toss stuff around. And I was like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then we go on and forget about it and
Then you
whatever.
go do well. Currently, you're a professional dancer, so you do traveling quite a bit, and so y'all have busy schedules. So you kind of toss this around quite a bit with moving or not moving. As far as your home that you have now that we are going to be selling here soon, what did you love most about that home?
The one thing that I think probably sold me on it immediately, remember coming from the desert, we didn't have the gorgeous trees that are here. I literally walked in the front door of this house, walked straight through to the French doors in the back, and there was this massive, gorgeous, beautiful symmetry wild live oak. And I mean, probably 60, 70 plus years old. And whoever had owned the home prior had really, they'd had arborists obviously come in and, train it and took beautiful care of it. It was the most gorgeous tree, and it sits right in the center of the backyard. So that, and just seeing, I walked in the front door and there was this room on the right hand side, and I was like, I ticked that box because I'm like, Kevin's going to work remote. I just have a feeling. And that would have worked really great for his office, which it did.
It did. Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, I was like, I just literally, because I like to garden. That was one of the things another hobby I have is I do like, I do like to get my hands dirty. But yeah, this tree was absolutely fantastic. And where these the land, this is sitting on a third of an acre, and so in Vegas, very, it's cookie cutter. So kind of like what's happening now in the newer homes. You're very close to each other, whereas it had some space, third of an acre. That's a very decent sized lot. Um,
Especially coming from something so small, because those that the homes, like you said, in Vegas are so close together, you don't get to enjoy the greenery and, like you said, the
no,
tree and things like that.
no,
So that's something that's going to be, I'm sure the next person that once your home
yeah,
is sold, that comes to your home is going to enjoy those beautiful
yeah,
trees and
yeah,
third of an acre is plenty. I mean, gosh. Well, and Donna has it so manicured very well. Outside, it has it's just, it feels like home even when you walk in. I mean, it wasn't my home, but I felt at home. And that's
yeah,
such an important part of selling a home is when you walk into a home, that feeling you get, buying or selling, you're going to get a feeling. But when I walked into Donna and Kevin's home, it just felt like home. So I could see myself, having dinner there or, drinking
Yeah.
coffee. I don't drink coffee, so
But
maybe
she was going to drink coffee at your
I
house.
will drink coffee at
I've,
your
I've
house.
got a serious coffee setup. Yeah.
I believe that. But it did feel it's a beautiful home, so I'm excited to go through that journey.
Yeah, when you're listing the home, I mean, that's really Nicole's. It's a big deal for somebody to come in and be able to feel that, because you can feel it. The home has a feeling, whether people are going through a divorce, or if it's chaos in there, if it's chaotic, there's things all over the place. It does set a tone or feeling, and so that's nice to know that as soon as someone goes into your home, they're going to have a feeling of home.
I
So
mean, really, when you pull up in the driveway, you can tell that the people there love the home and care about it. So, and it
Yeah.
just intensifies as you get through the home. So, y'all are
Yeah.
checking all the boxes off there, Donna. So,
I have to ask you about the new home that you recently purchased. I think it's been a few weeks, and you're probably still, settling in and things.
Oh, yeah.
But as you're making it your own home, what was the what feeling did you feel as soon? How did you know it was your home? How did you know?
Oh, it was really fun. Nicole and I had a great time this day.
Mhm.
We were, we had met a couple of days prior and on something else where we were, first of all, we got started to get serious looking at stuff, that would include my husband's dad. That's how, this one house came on the market and was like, oh, that's interesting. Anyway, Nicole was, she got to show us through that house and we got to meet that day. Anyway, kind of, once you call up and say, you know what, I want to see this house, that kind of starts the whole project, doesn't it? You get the process of juices get flowing. Anyway, so Nicole and I got together and we spent, what did we look at? Like 4 or 5 houses that day, didn't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, so we were in Salado. So we were all over Salado and I actually thought, okay, I found the house. It was the first one that we looked at, and and I had looked at all of them online. I knew what we were looking at and stuff, but until you get inside and you get a feel for it and stuff. Anyway, so I was like, oh yeah, this is it. It ticked all of the boxes. It really did. And but at the end of the day, Nicole was really good. She was paying attention to me that even when I didn't realize it, which was pretty cool. I have to say, thank you, Nicole, because she's like, okay, she was picking up on what I liked and what I didn't like. And so what happened then? She said, okay, well, you know what? With this one more house, and it's in Tanglewood. It's in my neighborhood, and of course, Kevin and I were very familiar with this area. And she said, "Do you want to go see it?" She said, "I think you'll like it." And I thought, oh, what the heck? Kevin was actually out of town. What am I going to do? Go home to my thumbs. So like, yeah, why not? Let's get on the road. And we came back, and we came up here and we looked at it. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to, I'm just killing time. I'm not even thinking about it, right? So we pull up, we come in. And as you walk into the home, you've got this lovely entry, that's quite long. We're talking 10, 12, 13 feet long, right? You kind of come into this hallway and then it opens up into this great room. And I came around the corner and I went, oh wow. Oh wow. Nicole, what have you done to me? I literally was like, what have you done to me? Because I mean, the house had the wow factor. Kevin and I, you come when you have you've come from show business, you're used to big sets, big costumes, big music, big everything, something, and you tend to be more to the dramatic, I think, than probably average people. I mean, I had 18 years and I built what was it, 6 shows from the ground up. So when you see what something can be turned into, you like the wow. The wow is what sells it, right? And so for me, walking into this great room and seeing, the treatments that you guys had put on the walls, the picture frames, just the little extras that were in the home that totally give it a total architectural feel. but the kitchen was beautiful, and I just loved I love the open concept because that's what we had come out of. And when you have people over, when you've got family around, that's what works is that open concept, and this house had it. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I was so ready and thought that, okay, when Kevin gets back to town, we're going to go back to this house in Salado. So anyway, then I go into the master bedroom, and of course it's total drama. And I was just all over that, this big old dark gray wall. Fantastic. Yeah. And I was envisioning, I was already creating what was going to happen, with furniture, and of course when you start putting furniture in places, that somebody's getting serious. So
Yes.
anyway, so yeah, and I just was like wowed by the whole thing. There's this, the extra shop down in the back, which was, great. There was a place for the RV. I mean, it just had everything. Fantastic office for Kevin, and just the right size. It just was a beautiful home. And so, yeah, what did I do, Nicole? I said, okay, we're meeting on Saturday. We're going to go to Salado, and then we're going to come back to this one. It'll be the last one. And then Kevin gets to make that. I wanted to see what his reaction was going to be
Was it a
without me
pretty?
giving it away. I'd already made up my mind. I knew that this was
You
it.
said you
Yeah.
didn't want to give it away, but we called him on FaceTime.
Yeah, we
Kevin
did.
already knew. I felt like Kevin was really the one to me where he didn't let his slip show, I would say. Like he was very, well, we'll see. But I knew he knew when he seen Donna's face through FaceTime. He was like, okay,
Yeah.
she's already kind of made up her mind that she likes this one. But we really did. We looked at some other homes Donna had picked out, and that one that you were mentioning, I mean, Salado, it did check the boxes that she said that she wanted. But I think the one when we looked at a few, and they were all in Salado, and then we came back to this one, and I had asked, about the location since it wasn't in Salado, if it was going to be too far or how they felt, and she said she was open, so we went to go see it. But I did, like you said, I was listening to the things that as we walked through the homes, I was listening to see, what was really important. I knew that dining room table
Yeah.
for your dining room was important. Also knew the RV was important, and I also kept in mind with your father-in-law. I knew that was something that was going to be probably it was important to you, but as important more, to Kevin. And we know he needed an office. So there were so many things that I was considering, but it was so fun walking with those properties and learning what was important to you, and
Yeah.
hearing, of course, family and hearing about little Kevin. We knew little
Yeah.
Kevin needed a space too. So Nicole comes back to me and she reports all this information, and she's like, Cherie, they really like the house in Salado. I think she likes that, but after I show her the one in Tanglewood, she's like, it's gonna be the one. I really feel like it's gonna be the one. And it's so funny how often Nicole's right about this. And I don't know why I'm surprised, or, after years of experience watching this, Nicole just kind of listen and check, check all the boxes, and, her actually picking the house for the customer. It's pretty, I like it. I love it because the statistics are she's going to pick the right one, and you're going to have the reaction that you have. And I get
Yeah.
to see that most of the time with our customers coming back, and she just listened. And it's fun because it's important to me.
Yeah.
I love to hear that you love where you're at. I love, your yesterday when we called, and you said, well, I slept later than normal, you in that it's so quiet out there, but it's something that you enjoy. So
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
part of that. I think, the reason I've done this for so long is because every story matters.
Yeah.
Hearing, and I can't wait to come over and see the things that you've done to the house, because I know you've already sparkled or put some sparkles in there, and put some
Yeah.
fairy dust throughout the house. So I'm excited to see that. How's Kevin enjoying things out there?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely loving it, isn't he? I mean, it's he wishes he just had a little bit more time. He's so busy, with what he's doing. He wants to get out in that shop and get busy out there, because right now it's like everything just got thrown in there. The movers like, quick, just get it in there and get it taken care of. But no, he's um we just love the the back patio, for example. before it snapped cold, because goodness, it got cold right now. But I mean, when we first got down here, it was beautiful. It was like sit out on that back patio and, just it's just so peaceful out here and quiet.
Mm.
And the setting of it, I mean, we have an RV, so we like camping. We like to be out, and away from, the city kind of thing. So um, it's almost like, yeah, we're camping 24/7 here, we're out and about and away from it, so quiet, and you got the deer everywhere. Oh yeah, I actually got a great picture right before Thanksgiving when there's like three of them on the front yard, and I was able to get my chairs with my Thanksgiving, decor going. It was like the perfect postcard of the deer in the front yard.
That's what I
And
like to hear, Donna. That's what we like to hear is that you have a postcard moment at home. Well, I mean, not a lot of people can say that, you know.
yeah,
Not a lot of
yeah,
people can. Um,
yeah.
I do. I have another question for you. I want to ask. What part of the buying experience did you feel was that you had the most support in, like through this process? How do you feel you were supported? I guess I should say it that way.
Well, I think if anything, it's kudos to you guys actually, because we owned the house that the house that we're going to list. We owned that outright, and so our money was tied up with that. So, Sherry, when came on board, and your team handled us getting the equity out of that one, and then going ahead and getting the mortgage going on the new one, that was just seamless to me. And I think that was a huge, kudos to you guys, because you were handling both sides of it. You knew what was happening on, one side of the table, and you knew what was happening on the other side of the table. So you by handling it, both of them, it was very smooth, and you guys knocked it out of the park when we came in and said, "Oh, can we close a week early? Kevin's out of town," and you did, and you did, and your team was very, very, good to work with. They were, I mean, obviously, they're going to ask you 3,000 questions, and it seems like it's always the same question, but we understand that this is not our first rodeo, right?
Yes.
But I think that was probably um it was just what, yeah, we were, I know, I didn't care. I was like, once we had got the contract where we wanted it, and then we decided, because because we had gotten pre-qualified and everything with another lender, and so once we decided to go ahead and work with your team, so to speak, as the builder, as a part of it and everything, everything just went very, very smoothly, which was, that, I mean, because, yeah, buying a house, selling houses, it's can be very stressful. But I mean, honestly, you guys, really, knocked it out of the park. It was very smooth, right up to, you guys coming to closing. It was great. Yeah, terrific.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like there was an advantage from your prior experience, working with a solo agent and not necessarily working hand in hand with a lender? Do you feel like there was an advantage that we were a team, that you had a real estate agent and a mortgage lender on essentially the same team?
Yeah, I think so. I think, with the reasons that I had just previously mentioned, I think being that, you guys are a team, one's handling one part of the transaction, and, Cherie, you're handling the loan part of the transaction, and you both, are communicating. Obviously your family, your twins, you're communicating really, really well with each other. So needless to say, if there was something that was needed on our half, yeah, on our behalf, yeah, you guys are going to, be on it and take care of it. And, you did. So I think, yeah, there's a definite advantage. And I could see this being, I know that realtors have their favorite mortgage, offices that they work with. They have their favorite title companies that they work with and all the rest of it. But I think you guys are kind of onto something here, where you've, a team, where you're actually putting a team together, as, with the two of you. I think, yeah, it works out really well. And I mean, Nicole, I even told Nicole at one point, I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are all related or, in on it together.
Yeah.
Here we are over here, okay, but done real estate several times at this point, not a big deal. But still, that was you it was like a little off-putting. But, I just without any time at all, I was totally aware, yeah, I can trust these girls. I trust you. And that was you pick up on those things. I'm an older person, so you know what you're looking at. So yeah, no, I never had. We had a great experience with y'all. You took great care of us. Totally. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Well, it's a, a huge success story when we're able to put have someone on that actually, says all the things you said, to make other people feel comfortable about the buying and selling process and a part of
Yeah.
the lending process, because we believe that, in Ecclesiastes, two is better than one. And it is like you said, other companies have, their preferred lender and things like that. But we believe, because we are twins, we have a little bit of a elevated experience, because
Yeah.
we have worked together hand in hand since birth. And so we just communicate differently, and it works to the customer's advantage. We believe, and we've seen it time after time, being able to partner together and help our, customers, and save them all the money that we can. Kevin, I don't know, he was the tough cookie. There's always one, and I'm usually, because I'm the numbers person, I have to talk to the tough cookie. So
Yeah.
when Kevin got involved, I was like, oh gosh, here he is, he's coming. And he was a joy to work with, though, too, because I understand numbers, and so I understand why it mattered to him. And he was like, I love the house, but it got to make sense. It has to make
Yeah.
sense. The numbers have to make sense, to me, for me to make a move from another lending company, because I know y'all had provided documentation and things like that, but my I always want to provide value, and if I can't show you that value of where it makes sense, then
Yeah.
the other company has earned your business. And
Hmm.
so if I can provide that, and it seems as though, we were able to provide that information, and show that to Kevin and to you, that there was value here, and we could be trusted. I'm happy to hear
Yeah.
that. I'm happy to hear that, that y'all guys, yeah, felt that way through the process.
Yeah.
That's important. I think the trust value, and as I mean, you had talked about, you didn't know us from a hole in the wall, so it is
Yeah.
something to consider. You're like, well, they have more of an advantage, but I always, in meeting with you at the first property that we saw. Typically there are agreements that are supposed to be signed and things like that, but I really feel that it's important that I am able to build a rapport with a client and understand, does this work? Do me and you work together?
Right.
Does it click? Because if you do decide to buy a home, or if you need to sell a home, we are going to have to work together for a while, and we want it to be enjoyable. I want you to love the experience. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that you trusted us through the process, and that I was able, or we were able to provide that, where you felt like, okay, I can trust these people, and our fiduciary
Hmm.
responsibility is to you. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that, you and Kevin felt that way. It's important. It means a lot to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
someone was thinking about buying or selling with us, what would you want them to know?
Um, what would I want them to know? I would say that, like with you, Cherie, they're going to have good products. You had a good product for us as far as the HELOC went.
Mhm.
You discussed some options there, and I felt like you had access to the right product that was the best product for us. So, if they're looking for something particular in mortgage, I think that would be, you're going to be able to provide that product. And Nicole, just because, as far as the realtor end of things, the fact that you listen and pay attention to what your buyer is saying and doing, even though I didn't even realize it. That I think those are huge qualities. Because you got to take yourself out of the equation, and you've got to put that buyer, or seller, whoever it might be, that they've got to be put. What is it that they want? not what I want. So yeah, I would think, that would probably be what I would say most is that, whatever you're going to need product wise, and, Nicole, your knowledge of, the real estate, transaction was, yeah, you're experienced. So, what you're doing. You guys know what you're doing. Your experience is another good thing. So yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like it.
Experience matters.
We tell that to most people.
Yes.
We got to tell them
Yes.
experience matters. You got to have people that
Yeah.
know the area, know the market, know loan products, know what your
Yeah.
customer needs, because that's the key. We have to provide that information, provide the value, and then that it's easy selling after that is because we're only getting you what you wanted. You told us what you wanted, and it's not that it's downhill after that.
Yeah.
And then we get to have you on a podcast, and then mission is complete. So we end every podcast with the same question. So we want to know, if the walls could talk, what would they say in your new home?
If the walls could talk, I would say, and this was after I had a conversation with Jesse, which is the builder, Sherry's husband. He was surprised, and I said this to him. He was surprised. He said, "My houses usually sell a little quicker." And I returned to the call to him and I said, the house was waiting for me.
Mm.
It was waiting for me to show up at the right time. So, yeah, this house is a great fit for us. And we're looking forward to many years here. So, yeah,
Okay.
this house was waiting for us.
That's waiting.
Timing matters. It was
Yeah,
the right time. So,
yeah, yeah.
well, we want to say thank you so much, Donna, for giving us the
Yeah.
opportunity coming on. We were so excited to have you here on our twin cast. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your very important busy schedule, to talk with us. So we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. If y'all loved today's episode, which we know everyone did, like, subscribe, and share.
If you have any questions about being on our show, DM us. If you have questions about buying or selling, we're here to help. Until next time, keep dreaming big, planning smart, and remember, with the right team, you hold the keys.